This is the first step that every hacker uses to break into a system. Without knowing this, you can never find out how to break into a machine. Today, we're going to use a tool that shows us the possible entry points and how to gather more information about a machine before we can start our attack on it. So if that sounds great to you, run your virtual machine and let's get it started. So the tool that we are using today called Nmap. Nmap is a tool that you use to scan your target machine, and it's going to give you some valuable information like the potential entry point to a target machine or to a website. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to check if Nmap is installed. I'm just going to write nmap-version, and as you can see, it is installed. If your virtual machine doesn't have Nmap, you can easily download it and install it. All you're going to do is just going to write sudo apt install nmap, and when you enter that, you're going to put your password and that's going to automatically download that. So the first thing that I need to do is that basically I need to find out what is my IP address and what is my subnet mask and in what network am I currently at. I can use the command IPA, and that's gonna give me the IP address, and also gonna give me the range of the IP address. That's gonna be useful for us. This /24, we're gonna use this in the following commands with Nmap. We can also find out the IP address and the range of IPs in our network as well. So this is /24. It basically tells me that there is about 256 IPs available in this network, and that's just coming from basic networking and subnet masking. So when I find out my IP address, I can write a range of my IP address and that belongs to my network as well. I'm just gonna make a quick notepad, just gonna copy my IP in there. And for finding out the range of my network is basically gonna be 192.168.247. Because it's a small network, the first three section of numbers belongs to the network and the last three digits gonna belong to the host. That means the IPs can vary based on this last three digits. So as I said, we can have 256 IPs. So that would give me from 0 IP to 255. Okay. If I wanna put my network range, I have to put my first IP address, which is gonna be my 0 / that number that we saw, which is 24. That's gonna be my network range, and that's gonna be very useful in the future. Let's now start scanning our network. The first command that we're gonna use is gonna be a command that's gonna tell us what are the available machines on this network. Imagine someone trying to break into a house and they just enter to a city. The first thing they need to do is basically they need to find out what houses are available inside of that city, and they need a type of map to find out what are the houses in that city. Nmap is basically doing the same thing here. The network acts as a city and the machines available on that network act as a houses. So for me to find out which machine that I want to target, I have to first scan my network and find out what are the available machines on that. For that, we can write nmap-sn. I will have to put my network range in there. So I'm just going to copy that, going to paste it here. And when I press enter, that's going to take a few seconds. There we have it. It's going to show all of the machines that are available and I can communicate with them in my network. And as we can see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 machines available on my network. Before we can move forward, I have to tell you that I already set up a target machine. This is my target machine. Okay, I'm just going to log in. This is going to be our target machine. It's a vulnerable machine. We can do our test on it. Just going to find out the IP address of this machine as well. I can see that the IP address of this machine is 247.131. If I go back to my machine, I can see here that my Nmap tool has already found this IP address. So that means the Nmap is working. So now we found the house that we're going to break into. But how are we going to find out an entry point? We don't know what are the possible entry points that we're going to use to get into this house. Is it going to be a door? Is it going to be a window? So Nmap actually has a good use here. We can use Nmap to find out the possible entry points. And what are the entry points on a machine? They are called ports. We have thousands of ports, but the most important ones are the first 1,000 ports. You don't need to remember them all. You just need to remember some most important ones and the ones that you use to break into a system. So for finding out the potential entry point, we have to find out what ports are open on this target machine. And we can use Nmap for that. Nmap, and we're just going to put the IP address that we want to scan. When I enter that, we can see that it's going to tell me 977 is closed. When you don't specify how many ports you want to scan, it's just going to scan the first most important 1,000 ports. And as you can see here, it's going to tell me 977 ports are closed. But the ones that are open are these ones. So I've got that many doors to break into this system. I've got port 21, I've got port 22, which is for SSH. This one is for FTP. These are the possible entry points that I can break into. into. If you don't know what are these protocol means, I put a video in the description that you can go watch and see how hackers use these protocols to break into a system. So what I can do is I can save this result. I'm just gonna use my up arrow key, and after that, if I add -o capital N to make sure that capital and lowercase are really important, and I can just name it result.txe. If I do that, that's gonna make me a folder as results.txt that I can later on use in my other steps of attacking to use these ports and break into the system. One other useful command that we're gonna use is gonna be nmap-sv and the IP address that we wanna scan. So what does this command do? This command is basically going to show me the version of these available services, these ports that are running on this machine. I'm going to show you how we're going to use that in a second. You saw in the previous task that we didn't have this version section, but when I use the -sv, you're going to give us the version section as well. And what we can do with these version sections, we can literally just copy them and put them in the Google to find out what vulnerabilities and what type of attack methods other people use to break into this specific version of this service. So if I want to search one of them as an example, I can use this HTTP Apache version. Let's see what vulnerability is available for this version of Apache. Just going to copy that, and I'm just going to Google that really quick. And as you can see here, it's going to show me the vulnerabilities that this specific type of HTTP version has. It's vulnerable for DDoS, XSS. I can also open this and find out what other methods the other attacker used to break into the system. So we can use these methods if we want to break this HTTP service. You can do the same thing about all of these versions, all of these different versions, and just Google them and find the CVE related to them and find out what method the other people use to break into them. There's something else that Nmap can do, is basically finding out the operating system of this target machine. That's going to help us a lot if we want to break into it. So I use -O, and as you can see here, it's going to identify the operating system details for me. It's going to tell me it's a Linux 2.6.9, and also going to tell me the kernel version as well. These are going to be used if an attacker want to create a malware. They have to know what operating system this malware going to work on. One other thing that I want to tell you is going to be nmap-ss. Sometimes there's a firewall around that machine that is not going to let you to use nmap for that machine, but -ss gonna make this a little bit sneaky and trying to avoid and bypass that firewall and do the nmap anyway. So if sometimes you get error and you cannot do the port scan, use the -ss, and then the IP address is going to give you the same result. It's just it's a bit sneaky, isn't it? Also, another important point is that you can use nmap against websites as well, either the domain name or their IP address. Hey guys, I'm recording this after I finish editing. One thing that I need to mention is that you are not allowed to do nmap without permission on a website. You have to have permission if you're doing nmap. It's only used for penetration testing, for ethical hacking, and you should avoid using that against someone's website without their permission. So this next part is going to be very interesting. Sometimes that you want to avoid detection and you don't want that person that you're targeting find out that your IP address is the IP address that running a port scan on their machine. So what we can do, we can add some decoy IP addresses to make them confused and avoid detection. We're going to add some random IP address within that network range, and what they're going to do, they're going to make them doubt which IP address is actually real one and which IP address belongs to a real person. They're going to show your IP address as well, but it's going to add your decoy IP addresses on the port scan as well and make them totally confused and wouldn't allow them to find out your IP address. To demonstrate that better, I'm going to open a Wireshark next to this so we can see how the packets look like as well. Just going to choose my network interface and they're going to stop capturing packets. So if I just run a normal nmap scan, let's see what happens. So as you can see here, these gray packets, these are port scan, and you can see my IP address 135, and if I just double check my IP address, which was 135, and is scanning against my target machine, which is 131. That was our target machine. And you can also see here that it's going to scan from different ports on different ports as well. That's literally a scanning port, looking for what ports are open and what ports are closed. So let's add a decoy to this and see how that would look like. So to add decoy, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add, after nmap, I'm going to add -D, and I'm just going to add my decoy IP address. 20. And if I press enter, all right, there we go. So you can see here that I've got my IP address here again, and I've got my decoy IP address here as well. So that's gonna make it a bit harder for the person that's trying to detect us to find out which IP addresses actually belong to a real machine. We can also add so many random IP addresses as well to make it even harder for them to detect our machine. So the command for that will be, we're gonna keep the -d and we're gonna use rnd colon, and we can specify how many decoy IP addresses we want. We can put 5, we can put 10. We're just gonna put 10, press enter now, and let's see what happens. So as you can see here, we got loads of different IP addresses targeting the same target machine that we were aiming for as well, scanning all of the ports, looking for available ports. But this time, finding out the real IP address is going to be very hard because there's loads of IP addresses. There's 10 different IP addresses that are doing the same port scan, and they're going to literally make the detection impossible. The final task is going to be finding out the vulnerabilities on the IP address. Nmap can run scripts as well. The script is basically finding out what are the available vulnerabilities on this machine. The command for that will be nmap --script, and then we need the IP address of the target machine. It might take a while to scan this because this is a harder scan, and it's finally done. That took longer than I expected. That took like about 300 seconds. Well, as you can see here, that basically going to show me the vulnerabilities that are available on this target machine, and also recommends me that how I can exploit these vulnerabilities. Like I can see here, I've got SSL injection, I've got XSS, I've got SQL injection, I've got loads of vulnerabilities, and also it shows me the related port that I can exploit those vulnerabilities on it as well. And there you have it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If it was useful for you, just drop a like for me, and if you got any questions, just drop it down in the comment section. And make sure you hit that subscribe button for me as well. And thanks for watching again, and I'll see you in the next video.